Lesson 4. Experience journal, how to observe yourself so you can have more influence over the illness. In modern therapies for schizophrenia, one thing is strongly emphasized: the better you know your own symptoms, emotions, and reactions, the less they surprise you and the less control they have over you. Externally, medications, doctors, and therapists can do a lot, but there is one space to which no one but you has access: your everyday inner experience. Only you know how you really feel in the morning, what is happening inside when tension rises, what happens to your thoughts in the evening. An experience journal is a way to capture this. Not as a medical report, but as a tool that helps you stop being a passive recipient of symptoms and start being an observer of your own process. This is exactly the step described in therapy manuals: self-monitoring, consciously tracking what is happening with you from day to day so that you have a chance to respond earlier, and not only when you are already in the middle of a crisis. From a Buddhist point of view, the journal is a written form of mindfulness. Instead of sitting on a meditation cushion, you sit with a notebook. Instead of following the breath, you follow how your avatar, body, emotions, thoughts, behaves during the day. Not in order to judge it, but in order to see it. Awareness that observes no longer has to fully identify with what it is going through. Why keep a journal at all? Schizophrenia rarely explodes out of nowhere. Usually what we call a worsening of symptoms has its history: a few worse nights, growing anxiety, a difficult event, a conflict, fatigue, a sense of overload, increasingly intrusive thoughts, tension in the body. All of these are signals that precede the crisis. If you ignore them, you will see only the finale: a sudden rise in symptoms, fear, perhaps hospitalization. A journal helps you see this path step by step. Thanks to it, after a week or two you may notice, when I sleep badly for 3 days in a row, strange thoughts start, or when for several days I have tension in my belly and avoid people, then the feeling that someone is judging me appears. In this way, your personal map of the illness is created. And the better you know it, the fewer surprises it contains. In therapeutic guides for people with psychosis, one rule is often repeated: symptoms are less terrifying when you see their beginning, middle, and end. An experience journal is exactly a tool for this. It shows that a crisis is not something magical, but a process that unfolds over time. In Buddhist terms, you could put it this way: you observe the arising, lasting, and passing away of phenomena instead of seeing them as a fixed, unchanging fate. What should you write down for it to make sense? A journal is not supposed to be an epic. You do not have to describe entire stories, analyze every event, or go back to every detail. With the help of therapeutic programs, you can follow a simple rule: you write down not whole stories, but key elements of the day. The 4 most important areas are: 1. Emotional state, roughly how you felt during the day: calm, uneasy, irritable, depressed, activated, indifferent. 1 or 2 words are enough. 2. Body, whether there was tension, heart palpitations, pain, agitation, heaviness, fatigue. 3. Thoughts and experiences, whether intrusive thoughts appeared, a sense of being watched, a feeling that something is not right, voices, strange associations. 4. Sleep and daily stress, how you slept the previous night, whether something burdensome happened, an argument, conflict, change of plans, too many stimuli, a stressful meeting. The point is not to write out the content of delusions or hallucinations in detail. Rather, it is to note, voices appeared today, today my thoughts revolved around persecution, today fear was stronger than usual. In this way, you do not feed the ego's content, instead you describe the functioning of the mind from the outside, like a researcher, not a participant. How to write so the journal does not become feeding delusions? This is an important question. The journal is meant to support you, not fuel the illness. That is why it is worth adopting one simple principle: you write down what is happening, not argue about whether it is true. Instead of, someone is definitely following me, because I saw a sign on TV, you can write, today I had the thought that I am being followed, I then felt strong fear and tightness in my chest. The first sentence strengthens the delusional narrative, the second shows the fact, what appeared in the mind and in the body. This is exactly the direction used in cognitive therapy for psychosis, moving from symptom truth to description of experience. In Buddhism, this is the difference between being in the movie and watching the movie. The journal should be a record of watching, not of acting out the role of a character. The journal as a mindfulness practice. From a Buddhist perspective, every entry is a moment in which awareness looks down at the avatar. You notice, today the avatar was tired, today it was activated, today it was afraid, today it felt guilty. You do not have to add, I am worthless because I feel this way. You can write, today sadness appeared and the thought that I am worthless. That is a fundamental difference. This way of writing weakens the ego. The self-identification system that usually says I am this sadness, I am this thought suddenly sees that it is being observed. And what is observed ceases to be the whole me. Over time a natural distance appears, experiences are changeable, they come and go, and awareness remains. You can treat the journal like a short daily written meditation. 5 minutes in the evening in which you ask yourself, how did I feel today? What was happening in my body? Which thoughts appeared most often? How did I sleep? Was there anything that clearly burdened me? The point is not to judge the day, only to see what was there. The journal as an early alarm. In therapeutic guides you can find the concept of early warning signs of relapse. These are the same small changes mentioned in the previous lesson: worse sleep, growing anxiety, irritability, tension, withdrawal from contact, a sense of a tense atmosphere, racing thoughts, the first strange associations. The journal helps you see when several such signals appear together. Example, for 3 days in a row you note, poor sleep, high tension, more fear, I am starting to avoid people. On the 4th day you can consciously say, this looks like the beginning of my typical relapse, now is the moment to respond. You can then use techniques from previous lessons, contact your doctor or caregiver, get more rest, reduce stimuli. Instead of it got worse again for no reason, you have, I see how it is getting worse, step by step. In Buddhist language you could say, you see the storm appearing before you find yourself in the middle of it. How long and how often should you write? There is no single correct answer. Therapies recommend regularity, not perfection. It is better to write briefly but every day than once a week to write a long epic that you then do not have the strength to even read. A good practice is to spend 5 to 10 minutes in the evening. During that time you write down the most important experiences of the day in 1 or 2 sentences for each area. Do not turn the journal into an obligation that is supposed to discipline you. It is meant to be a tool that works for you. If one day you do not have the strength, skip it. If you come back a day or 2 later, nothing is lost. Awareness is built from many small steps, not from one perfect week. A word of caution about the ego's trap. The ego can use anything, including the journal. It may start saying, "You have to write perfectly, otherwise you are useless. If you missed 3 days, there is no point continuing. Write in detail how bad they are and how they hurt you." In such moments, remind yourself that the journal is a tool of observation, not of battle. It is not there to prove any theory, it is there to show facts, what you felt, what you thought, how your body reacted. If you feel that writing is turning into fueling delusions, return to the simple format: a thought appeared, fear appeared, voices appeared. Do not spin them into a multi-paragraph story. Summary. There is another, less obvious benefit. When after a month or 2 you look back at your entries, you will see not only symptoms. You will see better and worse days. You will see moments of calm, laughter, ordinary everyday life. Delusions or fear that, at the time of experiencing them, seemed absolutely total will, with time, turn out to be something that had its beginning and its end. This is a very important discovery. You are more than a few hard days. You are more than voices or delusions. The journal shows that the illness is part of your story, but it is not your whole person. From a Buddhist perspective, this is a return to the truth that the avatar, with its symptoms, fears, successes, and failures, is a phenomenon in awareness. There is no need to hate it or idealize it. It is enough to see it as it is. An experience journal is one way to do exactly that. This concludes the 4th lesson. You now have a tool that will accompany you further, a simple notebook in which you do not judge yourself, only observe. In the following chapters we will address what to do when thoughts, voices, and beliefs become especially difficult. The journal will then be your ally. It will show what leads to those states and remind you that nothing lasts forever.